Hello, visit ProcessMaker.io, a highly scalable, highly resilient BPMN 2.0 workflow engine that is offered as a cloud microservice. It is very simple to begin using ProcessMaker.io. Simply register on the site and create a cloud instance. The product is 100% API-based and has SDKs in all popular programming languages. Once your cloud instance is created, you can access the API and write applications against it. In this demo, we will show you an NDA agreement process that was designed using a third-party BPMN 2.0 editor and is being run inside the ProcessMaker.io workflow engine. This demo is built based on the idea of a company that wants to automate the process through which both employees and business partners request to sign NDAs with the company. The demo assumes that the company places a web form on its website or internal portal to make it easier to handle and process these NDA requests from employees and/or business associates. In the use case example that you will now see, the process starts with an NDA agreement request being made from a user who fills out a simple web form. In this case, the web form being utilized is a Google form. We could have used any web form technology to allow for the form submission, but for this example, we chose to use a Google form. The ProcessMaker.io workflow engine is engaged, and a process instance starts when the user finishes filling the form and hits Submit. Upon clicking Submit, the request is submitted and the process starts. The process can proceed in two different ways according to the process design. If the request was sent by an employee, it will proceed according to one path, and if the request was made from a customer of the company, it will proceed differently. This path separation is handled by the BPM engine by managing an exclusive gateway decision point with if-then logic. If the request is filled out and made by an employee, the employee's specific path is chosen. The first task in this conditional path is a service task. The service task is one which automatically generates an NDA agreement document. The document is generated from an HTML template, which gets auto-populated with the information filled by the requester in the initial web form. If the request is made by a customer, then a different path is chosen. On this path, the initial task is also a service task which generates an NDA. However, this time the NDA gets generated on a corporate template, which is fetched from Google Drive. The generated document is similarly auto-populated with the data entered into the web form. Regardless of the path chosen, in the next step, the generated NDA document is uploaded to Google Drive, and an email is generated and sent to the requester's email. Inside the email message is a link to the generated NDA in Google Drive. The next task would be a user task which is performed by the company representative. The goal of this user task is for the company representative to validate the requester signature and sign the document from the company's side or reject the document. Depending on the input from the company representative, the request now proceeds down the signed route. In this route, the Google document is renamed and a signed mark is added to the document. If it goes down the unsigned route, then an unsigned mark is added to the document. Finally, the case ends. Let's see this in action. We prepared the Google form for the NDA request. Additionally, this form contains a Google script which is triggered as soon as the form is submitted. The goal of this script is to call the ProcessMaker.io API and send the form data to the API to initiate the start event of the process. Now let's fill out the form with some data like name, address, email, ID, and phone number. I am filling the form as an employee, so I will check Employee, and then I press the Submit button. Now my request is submitted to the system. Let's fill in the form one more time. This time, I will pretend to be a customer, so I select the Customer option. I fill in the company name and press Submit. Another request successfully sent. As the requester, I receive an email with some information and a link. The link is a link to the shared Google document. The document is the NDA, and it is shared on Google Drive. I click on the document and see that my details are filled out in the document already. All my information is in place, and I am signing the document with an imaginary signature. Okay, this part might be a little more difficult to understand. Remember, ProcessMaker.io is meant to be used by independent software vendors, or ISVs, that are building software, so this interface is an imaginary web portal, and I'm logging in to act as the company representative. I have a very basic inbox, and I see that I have received 2 NDA agreement requests. I click on the first requester document link. In the document, I can see the requester details, as well as his signature in the bottom. Everything looks good, so I'll put my company signature here. After reviewing and signing the document, I can now approve the NDA. I click the Approve button to indicate that everything is done with this document and the case has been positively resolved. For the second customer, I do the same to review the next document. I open the document and I see the customer details. Please note, the NDA document format now is slightly different. Remember, this was requested by a business customer, so the workflow path was different. In this case, we fetched a template from Google Drive and populated the template instead of auto-generating one, since it was requested by a business customer. However, as we review this one, we decide that something is wrong or there's some missing data. We do not sign the document this time, and then we will reject the request. So now my action is to press the Decline button to close the case. Now let's see how well we organize the documents we generated in our Google Drive account. We already saw the Google form. Here's a Word template for the employee NDA document. All the documents are sorted now by customer name and have either an unsigned or a signed postfix in the name. If we open the signed document, we see the customer and corporate signatures. The document is also shared with the customer for his records. To run this process, I used a ProcessMaker IO instance. Here's the instance URL I used to integrate with the Google form. I also used an example web portal to get all the instructions about setting up and integrating Google services through the Google API. Visit our ProcessMaker.io website to get your own process running today. Bye for now.